What's the next step if the President of the United States ignores court orders? ChatGPT responds, if the President of the United States ignores a court order, it triggers a constitutional crisis, and several steps can follow, depending on the situation. Here's what could happen. Number 1, the court can issue further orders. If the President defies a court order, the Supreme Court or lower federal court may reaffirm the decision and demand compliance. Courts lack direct enforcement power, so they rely on the executive branch, which includes the President, to follow rulings. Number 2, Congress can step in. Congress can hold hearings to investigate why the President is ignoring the order. If defiance continues, Congress can use the power of the purse to restrict funding to the executive branch. In extreme cases, Congress can initiate impeachment proceedings for violating the separation of powers or failing to uphold the Constitution. Number 3, law enforcement may be involved. Federal agencies like DOJ, FBI, or U.S. Marshals typically enforce court rulings. If the President directs federal law enforcement to ignore the courts, it raises a serious constitutional crisis. In some cases, military intervention is theoretically possible, but the Posse Comitatus Act, I probably destroyed that, but anyway, prevents using the military for domestic law enforcement unless explicitly authorized by Congress. We need midterms, guys. Number 4, political and public pressure. This is why protests are important. The President would likely face media scrutiny, public backlash, and political opposition. Protests, lawsuits, and advocacy groups could demand compliance. Political allies may distance themselves to avoid controversy. Number 5, impeachment as a last resort. If the President repeatedly ignores court orders, Congress may see it as an abuse of power and initiate impeachment. The House of Representatives would draft and vote on articles of impeachment. If passed, the Senate holds trials, and if convicted by 2/3 of the vote, the President's removed from office. None of this is going to happen until we get the majority. Midterms are coming up. Historical examples would be Andrew Jackson ignored a Supreme Court ruling regarding Native American land rights. Abraham Lincoln ignored a court order during the Civil War, citing national security. Richard Nixon initially resisted a Supreme Court order to hand over Watergate tapes, but ultimately complied under pressure. Here we are, folks.